We're pleased to welcome now Mississippi's Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, Commissioner Andy Gipson. Commissioner, always good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming out.
Gerard, it's great to be back with you. Great to be back in Mississippi. Great to be back in America after visiting Panama last week.
So let's start with this grand opening. This is a great Mississippi company, as you know, and expanding into the Gluckstadt area. This area of the state is obviously booming. It's brand new. Everything is. It's just sparkling. Things are looking up, certainly, for Madison County and really the entire state of Mississippi with respect to investment by companies into our state. We're just a few miles away from this gigantic AWS project coming here. Mm-hmm. So I think that's all good stuff for Mississippi. But you've been in Panama. Tell us about the trip and the purpose for that and what you got done.
Well, a couple of times a year, sometimes 3 times a year, I'll go on these trade missions with the goal of enhancing our trade. You know, exports in Mississippi of our ag products is a big deal. About 1 out of every 3 acres of production is destined for international markets, and that cuts across a lot of different commodities. So Panama, being one of our top trading partners here in Mississippi due to our proximity, it made a lot of sense for me to go on this trip. I was in India last year, in the Netherlands the year before that, trying to, get openings into the EU, opportunities there. But we had some good meetings. They love American products. They love Americans. As you might imagine, Panama is a very, they say, Americanized country because of the Panama Canal. Did visit the canal, got a tour of the canal, and the commerce that's flowing through that canal. It's a huge deal. I can't overemphasize what a big deal it is.
Yeah.
This is not only the gateway of commerce in the Central and South America and the gateway between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, but it's the financial center of that region. So it's a big deal, and they love American products. We're shipping a lot of good products to them. We're shipping forest products. We're shipping cotton. We're shipping feed stocks such as soybeans and grain for feed. And they're really one thing I realized they love, and they cannot produce beef, U.S. farm-raised beef. They love our American beef. They love all our products. You go in a grocery store, you're going to see all the major brands that you see here at a store in Gluckstadt, for example, because they do love Americans. And had a great trip, some good opportunities that we're working on, some new deals that I think will come to bear fruit in the next few days.
Okay. Let's talk about the beef for a minute, because I know it's a significant agricultural industry in the state of Mississippi, and I'm talking to some folks who are in the restaurant business and grocery business that are discussing the notifications they've received about the increase in prices of beef. We import a lot of beef from other countries. I'm told by the connoisseurs, at least, that it doesn't measure up to the quality of American beef. And, in fact, I've talked to people that have been to restaurants in like New York where they say, well, we got a choice of the Argentina, the Australian, or the American. Well, which would you have? Well, honestly, the American beef is superior to the other. So, but what's causing this imbalance? You shared with me some charts directly from the USDA that shows the lines crossing here in the last couple of years where our imports of agricultural food products are exceeding our exports.
Yeah, and when it comes to beef, the answers for that are twofold, I think. The high inflation, the cost of farming has skyrocketed under, as you know, the Biden administration. A lot of people who could get out, got out, sold out, to the point that our American beef herd now, cattle herd, is smaller than it's been since the 1940s, late 40s. So we have less American beef. And my message to all the farmers, all the producers is, don't get out. Stay in. We got to stay in. The prices are expensive. The other thing is the severe droughts that we had back-to-back, 2022,
I've heard the farmers
2023.
Talk about that.
And there was no way to keep farming, so they sold out. And I guess there's the third factor. These big packers, these big packing corporations that are now multinational, global, even before the droughts and before the inflation, they were buying beef from Argentina, Brazil, Mexican, all this. And it's a real big deal when you see those lines cross that we're importing more food products, more ag products than we're exporting as a nation. Not just with respect to beef, but this chart that I've got here showing, really across every aspect of of production. And it's particularly bad when you get to produce, when you get to fish. The catfish farmers here in the U.S. would tell you they're can't compete with this Vietnamese dumping of swab, basa, artificial, fake fish. So these are trends that have happened, but the world really did change about 2022, just before 22, when you see on that chart, maybe you can share it, the lines crossed, that now we have a trade deficit when it comes to ag, and that happened during that 2022 era. There's a lot of reasons for that. I think a lot of reasons that we need to be concerned about. But one reason is President Trump is absolutely right. There are nations that have taken advantage of us. They're blocking the imports of our products to their country. They're blocking our exports. At the same time, they're dumping their product on us. The tariffs that went into effect, the catfish farmers, immediately, they were like, thank the good Lord somebody's doing something about this. That may give them a little help on that. The seafood industry, which has been suffering so bad due to somebody told me last week America is importing 80% of our seafood and fish products from other countries, and that's why your fishermen on the Gulf Coast are hurting. These cheap imports, whether it's shrimp or seafood in general, they're causing this graph change, and what we're talking about is nothing less than the survival of the American farmers, American food production in our country. We're the breadbasket of the world. We've never been in this situation before. Joe Biden allowed us to get in this situation. Some would say, actively promoted it, allowed it to happen. But regardless, we can't worry about how it happened. We got to fix it. And the old saying is true. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. And I appreciate President Trump stepping up. I know that his tariff moves have not been the most popular, but at least he's doing something to try to solve this, to get in front of this, to stop this trade imbalance and get things set back right again.
I think getting the conversation going and calling attention to it is probably more valuable than anything, honestly. Where it lands is still undetermined at this point, but just elevating it in the discourse, I think, was valuable and important. I wonder, Commissioner, this is something that I've thought about, and hopefully you can help us out. The food safety regulations, the labor regulations, the other just mountain of regulations that American producers have to deal with and grapple with relative to these other countries, that's a cost issue. That's a huge factor in their cost. How do we straighten that out?
The regulations have got to be minimized. They've got to be brought back to common sense. All these other countries, as you said, they're not doing food safety. They're raising, I've actually seen pictures raising this shrimp you can buy from, I won't name a country, but they're raising it like a kiddie bathtub, all, algae infested, disgusting. And that's coming into our country with no real oversight. What we've got to do is minimize those regulations. Just today, there's an agenda that came out of a think tank group, America First Policy Institute, Farmers First. That's one of their primary agenda items, and I support it 100%, reducing regulations at the same time as we make it easier for workforce. One of the reasons, arguably, that this situation has become the trade imbalance that we have is the Biden administration made it harder and harder for farmers to get workers in to do work, and that's through the H-2A process, through the H-2B. They're welcoming people in, illegal immigrants in over the border with no restrictions whatsoever, criminals, thugs, but they made it unaffordable and impossible to actually hire seasonal workers, and the red tape has been such that even if somebody wanted to come here to do a harvest from South Africa, for example, during harvest season, they couldn't get the paperwork through the Department of Labor to get approved to do that. So workforce has got to be made easier, it's got to be streamlined, and we're in conversations with the Labor Department about that. We got to do everything we can to help our farmers. This is make or break for our American farmers, for the American food system that we have always known and appreciated. This is a crunch time, and it's critical we support our farmers, we get better trade deals, and I think President Trump is leading the way to make that happen.
We got Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce for the great state of Mississippi, Andy Gipson, at Ace Bolt and Screw in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. We're coming right back with more. And we are just south of the scoreboard at the football stadium at Germantown High School. Beautiful day. Lots of people coming on out. We got catfish for you as well. Please join us. So, also, Commissioner Andy Gipson is our guest. I did, in fact, pull up the USDA import-export data by month, just looking at January, February of this year, the latest data that they have tabulated. We had a trade deficit of $6.2 billion in the month of January, 4.2 to the point you were talking about earlier. So in February, we exported roughly $14 billion in January. We imported $20 billion of agricultural products. It's really shocking.
There's no need for that. We produce everything that we need for our country. We have for decades, since America became a country. We are the breadbasket of the world. We produce everything we need and a lot of what the world needs.
Right.
So it was during the Biden administration. You can read whatever you want to read into that, but the fact is that's when the world changed on this, and the emphasis of apparently supporting these other countries more than our own country. And President Trump ran on America first. I support him. I endorsed him. Had a bunch of rallies for him. I'm still 100% behind our president, Donald Trump. He's doing what he believes is best for America. Most people probably don't know that we've had this trade imbalance since 2022. But our president knows it, and he's doing what he can to reset the trade deals for America to benefit farmers for the next generation.
And so is one of the causes of this deficit, Commissioner, because the other countries are just unfriendly to this country in terms of it exporting to their country? They just block us out, protect their own.
We talked a lot about that when I was in Panama. Now, we have basically a free trade agreement with Panama. I told you they love Americans. They love American products. They don't have a whole lot that they can send to us. They'd like to one day be able to send us some fruit or something like that off season. But a lot of the countries in South America, they are unfriendly. They see us, and they've allied actually with China. Brazil is one example. Most people may not realize Brazil is now producing and exporting more soybeans than America. When I say exports, I mean they're exporting more tons of soybeans than America is exporting, and most of that's going to China. So that's another factor that's been going on, this geopolitical realignment that has been happening. China is not our friend, but they've made a lot of friends around the world and tried to cut Americans out of these deals, and those countries have put high tariffs to block our products out of their countries. Mm-hmm. So that's what's in the background of all these discussions. And President Trump is saying, look, we're not going to do that anymore. Today he's hosting Japan. He's got several other deals that are coming to fruition. I'm glad he did the 90-day pause. I think that's going to give time to do some positive deals that will help us have more exports. But, when you look at the biggest buyers in the world of ag products, China is at the top of the list, and they always have been. India now is more populous than China. It's now the largest populated country in the world and fastest growing. Right. That's why I've been to India 4 times and really have had some positive discussions. We shipped chicken to India in my first term, and the COVID put a stop on that. And I think COVID had a lot to do with some of the trade imbalances we see when there were probably protectionist tariffs in these foreign countries to protect their own producers. But it's time to reset that, and our president is doing that through these negotiations.
What's the end goal, you think, here, Commissioner, that the president seeks? Because he talks about a lot of things. He talks about the trade deficit. He talks about the disparity in tariffs that we impose versus tariffs that other countries impose. He talks about wanting to reshore manufacturing in the agriculture industry context. What do you think the end goal is here? What would you like to see?
He wants to see us as Americans continuing to be that breadbasket of the world, sending more product around the world, benefiting our farmers in the process, raising prices up to, as we have more exports. We have a surplus right now of different products because of this trade deficit that people are not buying.
But no customers.
No customers, right.
That drives the price down. That puts major financial stress on these agricultural operations.
So when I say this is make or break for American agriculture, when I say it's make or break for Mississippi farmers, we are living in those days right now. And I cannot overstate how important it is that we get this right. The president wants better deals, more markets, more access to markets, but we would be naive to think that China is not our enemy in this. They are our enemy.
No doubt.
They have made some strategic moves. We don't have time to talk about them all today, but whether it's military or economic or financial,
intellectual property,
and they have been playing this long game for a long time. They've been developing these other markets, these other production facilities through their alliances with Brazil and other countries in South America. So we have to do something different, and this discussion that's happening now is going to be critical to the future of our farmers. Another should be a simple thing is Congress needs to pass the farm bill. We've got to have a farm bill. Our farmers have got to have some certainty. There's so much uncertainty in the world today with weather and everything else, trade. But the one thing that Congress could do to bring certainty is to pass a farm bill. Unfortunately, I'm hearing it's getting tangled up again in the politics of Washington, D.C. The Democrats want more food stamps, and they don't want Republicans to include support for farmers who are about to go out of business. And this is a critical time. I heard the chairman of the House Ag Committee say if they didn't get a farm bill by June, they probably wouldn't get one until next year. So I'm
not sure some of the farming operations will survive
That's right. They did pass this emergency relief package in December. It is now going out to the farmers, but farmers are out there, many of whom are at retirement age, and they're like, I talk to them all the time. I don't know, why should I keep doing this? We stand to lose a lot of farms in this year. They need to pass a farm bill. They need to get it done. I guess the next best thing would be a long-term extension of it, but we really need that farm bill so we can have a 5-year plan of what the insurance programs are, indemnity programs, all those things that farmers rely on. And it's a crying shame they let it expire. Now, I want to thank our delegation. They're up there fighting for the farmers, and I appreciate them, but they have a lot more members of Congress that have never been on a farm.
Right. And you're seeing the same out of some of the other big farming states. In Iowa, for example, is another one. North Carolina, Tom Tillis has talked about as well.
Yeah.
So
that's right. So I think those are some important issues we need to watch as we go looking ahead. Another thing we can do at the state level, I'll be talking more about this, is we talk a lot about tax relief, property taxes in this state are going through the roof. There are a lot of reasons for that, but it also is a county-by-county determination, and there are a lot of farmers that are in certain parts of the state that just can't bear that brunt. We saw a little taste of that with the poultry house tax that was set to jump at a 10-year, what I call the tax cliff. Well, with all the other costs that farmers have been eating, that they just couldn't afford that tax increase. I think we need a comprehensive property tax reform. We need to make it fair and simple across county lines. We need to make it affordable and prevent that huge tax increase that Mississippians are facing when homes get reassessed, whenever it is in your county. You'll know it when you get that tax bill. I saw one that jumped nearly 50%. So it's a big deal, not just for homeowners. It's a big deal for everybody who owns a home, your biggest investment. But for the farmers, again, make or break. We need property tax relief.
So are you talking to supervisor organizations about that, Commissioner?
I have. I reached out, and we'll be talking about that. I expect that we'll have meetings about it leading up to next year. I don't expect anything will happen before next year. I've talked with some of our legislative leaders about it as well, House and Senate.
Okay.
And there seems to be the understanding that it's got to be addressed.
Can they legally, under our system, intervene? Can the state legislature intervene in property tax matters that are set and controlled at the county level? Is there action they could take?
Yeah, well, the state law is what sets how the counties assess.
Okay. I mean, they're
collect
established
taxes.
because of that. Yeah.
That's right, the process.
Yeah.
And I think it can be done in a way that, hold counties harmless. The counties have to have funds to run the county government, build county roads and so forth. But when you see, look at the housing values that have jumped since COVID.
Yeah.
That's going to be reflected in your tax bill coming up soon.
No doubt.
Very soon. And it's going to be something every landowner, every homeowner in Mississippi is going to be hollering about. It's going to be high.
Commissioner Andy Gipson, thanks for stopping by today.
Thank you for
really
having me.
Appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks for supporting the farmers.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
y'all.
Commissioner Andy Gipson has been our guest. We're stepping aside for a break. We're at the Ace Bolton Screw, the new Gluckstadt location just south of the Germantown High School football scoreboard.